On this edition of Practical Probate, I'm going to talk about business succession planning. I'm Dom Calabrese. Since 1995, I've been a Connecticut attorney, and since 2003, I've been a Connecticut probate judge. The reason I created Practical Probate as a series of articles and presentations was to give people information so that it's less likely you'll be taken advantage of by unscrupulous purveyors of questionable estate planning, business planning, and probate products. This presentation is for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be and should not be relied on as legal advice. For legal advice, you need to contact a qualified attorney. Having been on the bench for 17 years, I've seen firsthand the problems that are created when small business owners fail to do succession planning. In our current economy, more and more people are business owners. However, if business planning, particularly succession planning, is not completed, when the business owner passes away, it can create chaos. It can create chaos because there's nobody to operate the business, either from a practical standpoint or from a legal standpoint. With a business, there may be employees, there are creditors, there are customers and clients. There's taxes to be paid, there's bills to be paid. There's the ongoing operation of the business that needs to occur. And of course, when a small business owner passes away, even if there is a succession plan, that's a stressful event. But all too many times as a judge, I've seen that stress level get multiplied many, many times because there was no planning in place to allow the business to continue to exist legally and to continue to operate. So what happens when there's no succession plan? Well, it's often a trip to the probate court under exigent circumstances. And frequently, I sit with people in the hearing who really have a shockingly low level of knowledge about how that business operates and what needs to occur to keep the business viable. So, business succession planning is important for a lot of reasons. And while it costs a little bit of time and money to put a business succession plan in place, in the long run, it's actually going to save time and money. Business owners are frequently so heavily scheduled that it's easy for business planning and business succession planning to fall by the wayside. But we know the reality is someone can become incapacitated suddenly and without warning, and if that incapacitated person is the business owner and there's no business plan in place, including a succession plan, that could bring the business to a grinding halt. And in that situation, there's often a family or families that are reliant upon the income of that business. So business succession planning is important. It certainly can be done as part of an estate plan, but it's not just the estate plan itself that needs to be considered. The business has to be set up so that succession provisions are in place. The way the business is organized, the way it's registered. If it's a corporation, there should be bylaws. If it's a limited liability company, it should have an operating agreement. I am never cease to be amazed at the number of clients who come in my door who have limited liability companies. They have no operating agreement. A word of caution I will give anyone who's watching this who has an LLC. If all you did for your LLC was register it with the Secretary of State, you may not have the level of protection that you believe you do have. Simply registering it with the Secretary of State is often going to be inadequate to maximize the liability protection, and it's certainly going to do nothing to allow for the succession of the business should the owner become incapacitated or pass away. So my advice to the business owners who are watching it, or the family members of the business owners, is you need to sit down with an attorney who focuses on this area as part of their practice to ensure that everything you've worked so hard for is not going to be jeopardized if you become incapacitated or you pass away. You want to ensure that your family is going to continue to be provided for, and they'll at least be put in a better position than they would if there was no business plan or no succession plan. So that's my suggestion. It's not a hard thing to do, but I think you need to start with a qualified attorney who practices in this area. And if you want to know how to find a qualified attorney, I suggest you get on my blog, the Connecticut Estate Planning site, or my website, dcallaw.com, for an article on how to choose an attorney. Thank you.